Joining us now, a guy who always paid attention in class, as long as football was involved. Blaine Fowler, national champion at BYU, dual threat analyst. Blaine, welcome back to Studio B.
I'm concerned about what you guys are promoting here.
I have a feeling.
It's like, hey, whatever you do, don't pay attention in class. That's the message. I don't know.
These are grown adults.
I don't know
They're
about
good.
that.
I have a feeling you were a good student because all of your kids have been excellent students
Yes.
at BYU. Was that the case?
Yeah.
Or did they get that from Brenda?
They mostly got it from
I'm
Brent.
pretty sure Kellen had like a 5.7 GPA.
He had a good GPA. Kellen was the first team academic All-American.
Yes, he was.
So, and an NCAA postgraduate scholarship award winner. But guess what? Gavin graduated with a higher GPA.
Nicely
Oh,
done, Gavin
nice.
Fowler.
Yeah. So, no, all of them did.
What about
really
Landon?
well. Landon, I don't think anybody in our family graduated with lower than a 3.8.
Nice.
And Landon
Nice.
has a master's degree in accounting. That's not an easy program.
At
Kellen-
BYU.
and
which
Kellen
is
went to
the best
Virginia,
accounting
right?
program in the
yeah.
country. Kellen did law school at the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
Gavin,
A small
Gavin, his
school.
senior year of football was 1 year into his master's degree in public administration. So,
Okay.
It's awesome.
and it's all because of Brenda. So here's the advice, and I don't know this. This isn't me. Brenda decided that she was going to start reading to them like when they were in their cribs. So she just read like crazy to them all the time. So they all grew up loving reading. And if you love to read and you can read and comprehend, then you can do well in school. You can do well in college. So
It all makes sense for
parents,
us now, Jerem.
read to their kids from the crib on.
Well, mine are toast. Just kidding.
That's all Brenda, not me.
Berenstain Bears for the win.
Yeah,
So
whatever
I
it is.
owe it all to the Berenstain
They have to
Bears.
love to read, and then they can do great in college.
Okay. Reading into BYU football, Blaine, now let's take a really analytical look at what happened against Utah and how the Cougars make a jump against Tennessee. So before we move on to Tennessee, what's on your mind after watching film extensively of the BYU-Utah game?
Yeah, it was really disappointing because in the first half, BYU had an opportunity where they should have been in the lead, and errors cost them that. We think about the 2 pick sixes and the fumble on their own 20, but we forget that they had a third down and short,
3rd and 2.
in scoring position where you should get that first down and maybe score, and instead you settle for a field goal. Then another time when they had a third down and they fumbled and they settled for a field goal. And so they left points on the board in the first half. Utah had deferred and they got the ball in to start that first half. I was just watching that over again. And keep in mind, when you play as well as BYU did defensively in the first half against a team that's pretty loaded, and Zach Moss is a big-time player, right? They held him in check in that first half. So what adjustments are you going to make at halftime? Well, you're not, right? You're going to go, we have to wait and see what they're going to do in the second half, and then we'll adjust to that, right? And so they come out and they march down the field. They made a few adjustments. They spread BYU out a little bit more and ran that way. And but before BYU could even get on the bench and have a conversation with the defense about, okay, this is what they're doing, these are adjustments we're going to make, it was a turnover again. And then guess what? It was a turnover again. And now the third quarter's over, and the offense really hasn't even had the ball, and the defense hasn't had a chance to sit down and talk. And when you get on your heels like that, you hear the cliche, hey, the wheels fell off. And when the wheels fall off, they really fall off. But it's not unusual for a good football team to come out of the locker room when they have the football and have a decent drive to start that half. But what typically happens is the defense then adjusts to that and the game plays out. Well, BYU never had an opportunity because of turnovers in that second half. And I've had a lot of Utah fans say, see, the talent won out in the end. That's why Utah was just running right at them. I'm like, no, talent doesn't have a lot to do with what was happening at the end. If Utah had come out of the locker room, turned it over back-to-back times, and Utah's defense, as good as they are, especially as good as they are up front, they would have got worn down, and BYU would have been able to run the football against them down the stretch. That's just how it goes. That's how games go. And so it all comes back to the same thing that we've talked about in recent years, and that is this turnover issue, and not just regular turnovers.
Devastating turnovers.
It's one thing to turn the ball over when you're on the opponent's 35-yard line. So you really don't give up a score. It's almost like you punted, and then you can go defend a fairly decent field. But to turn it over directly for points twice, and then another one where they only had to get whatever it was, 19 yards of
22.
Yeah, 20. So they had 22 yards of total offense and 20 points.
Correct.
You cannot win, period.
Not against UMass or
No,
Utah.
against anybody.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, for example, Utah is better than Arizona, right? But if they play Arizona and they give up 20 points on turnovers on 22 yards of offense, they have a really good chance they're going to lose the football game.
Yes.
And Arizona will probably be running the ball down their throats at the end of the game. And so as I watched it, I still feel the same way. I think BYU, from a physical perspective, matches up pretty good. We saw that in the first half. But turnovers have been a big deal. And Utah has done an unbelievable job of taking care of the football in these games. They did a great job of it in this one. They played it fairly conservative. I thought Andy Ludwig called a conservative game, and rightly so. He called the game to what the situation dictated. He did a great job of utilizing what he had. He didn't put a ton on Tyler Huntley. He put it on Zach Moss. Man, if I'm calling plays for Utah, I'll put it on Zach Moss too, right?
Exactly.
So they put the game on Zach Moss's shoulders. They didn't lay it on Tyler Huntley. They didn't put him in a position where he could turn the ball over. And for BYU, too much probably on Zach's shoulders. I would like to have seen them be able to run the ball a little bit more. I think in the second half, when you go turnover, now you're thinking, man, there's no time left. We don't have time to do what we wanted to do and run the football. Yeah. And so you get out of your game plan at that point. That's tough because I think at that point, BYU needed to run it a little bit just to let the defense sit down on the bench and talk about what was going on. And but I think there was, you get behind and you think you got to change what you're doing. That's hard. So I think BYU's got to run the ball better, and they got to take care of the football. What I do think about Zach is that he's the kind of kid that really studies the game. He's going to look at the errors that he made, and he's likely not to do those again, and that's good. He's likely not to force that same ball in again that he did on the one pick six. The second, he may just tuck it when he's getting tackled and not try to get it to an open, Aleva Hifo on the sideline, and eliminate a couple mistakes. This game comes down to the wire, and it's a good football game.
Georgia State beats Tennessee. Is this a great thing or a terrible thing? Because it could be one or the other.
Yeah, I don't know that makeup of that team mentally. I can't think it's a good thing, right? So they can come out.
It shows you that Tennessee is very beatable.
Right,
but
and
now they're on high alert, right?
Tennessee has way better athletes than Georgia State, right? I don't think they do. There isn't any question of that. More team speed, bigger, more physical.
Talent gap.
Gap.
Yeah, talent isn't everything, right? So Tennessee is much better talent-wise than Georgia State is, but too many errors, assignment errors. They gave up plays. Georgia State played inspired. So it's a little bit scary because Tennessee has more talent than that. And so they can take the mindset of, okay, you got to put this game behind, and we have to fix everything that went wrong in there and come out and play with a passion this next week. But there's also the risk for them that they come out and they really press now. Because it's like, wow, we can't believe that this just happened. Now we have to beat BYU. And when you play feeling that pressure, you try to make plays that aren't there, and you turn the ball over. And that's so we'll see. I don't know them well enough in terms of their psyche or their mindset. I've watched them on film now. I know that they've got a lot of team speed all over the field. They got a running back that runs a 4.4.
Ty Chandler.
Yeah, and so they've got team speed. They have talent. The receivers, pretty good-looking group. They're very athletic at wide receiver. I don't think they're going to be dominating for BYU up front. I don't think that their front on either side of the ball is as good as Utah's. Now, Utah's was young but big and physical. And, of course, Utah's D-line is as good as there is in the country. And so how does Tennessee match up? I think from the wide receiver perspective, they're probably better than Utah's wide receivers. They don't have a better running back than Zach Moss.
No.
But up front, I think Utah's a better football team than Tennessee is on both sides of the football. So I think BYU matches up well, but it's a different kind of matchup. They have to make sure that they keep their angles and things proper because speed can result in big plays. Where Utah might just grind you and pound at you, Tennessee could get big chunk plays, and BYU's got to be assignment sound and be in a good position for the right angles to tackle because the speed of Tennessee is what could cause BYU problems.
Blaine Fowler with us on BYU Sports Nation. Jeremy and I were just discussing where BYU needs to make the biggest improvements, where we think they'll make the biggest improvements from week 1 to week 2. I think execution in the form of big plays, and something I didn't mention early on is in the red zone. BYU was 3 for 3 in the red zone. Awesome, right? They kicked 2 field goals. If they score a touchdown, it's an entirely different story there. So I lean towards execution. Jaron brought up turnovers, obviously. Where do you think BYU is going to make the biggest improvement in week 2?
Well, turnovers are game-changing, and I think they'll take care of the ball better this week. They'll be a little more careful with the football.
So just one pick six instead of two?
I think no pick sixes. I think no pick sixes, and there's forced turnovers and there's giveaways, and in all three of BYU's, when you just miss a handoff and put it on the ground, the defense isn't responsible in any way, shape, or form for that, right?
Giveaway.
That's a giveaway. Now you can call the 2 pick sixes forced turnovers, but then you have to go back and look at the decision-making tree of the quarterback and go, they're both kind of giveaways. The one where Zach was stumbling and got hit, and the ball came out short and there was an open receiver. I'm giving him a takeaway.
More understandable.
Yeah,
that's a takeaway.
That's a takeaway. Yeah.
The other is a simple read where you should throw that ball to the. If Mike Holmgren told me 100 times, he told me 1,000 times, all of us, why are you throwing at that? Take the easy one. Like, make your read. Get the ball out. Get it to the easy guy. Throw the 3-yard ball where the guy's open. No reason to push the ball up the field into coverage. And so that just rings in my head. And Zach is so skilled, sometimes he wants to fit the ball in. And what he'll learn through experience, I think he'll learn from this game is, man, if I just take the easy one, sometimes you throw a 3-yard ball and it results in a 25-yard gain. And so I'm going to call that one a giveaway. So I think Utah had one takeaway and BYU had 2 giveaways.
Ugh.
And giveaways kill you. So BYU just needs to eliminate the giveaways. It's like it's in basketball. You come down. There's some that hurt you and some that don't. When you come down and you just throw the ball out of bounds and it's a dead ball turnover, and then you can set your defense. Those don't hurt you that much. When you come down and you turn the ball over in the backcourt and they get a run out on the other end and dunk the ball, those are devastating, right? Especially in big times in the game. BYU's turnovers were all 3 like that. They were runouts. That's the analogy in basketball. Those just kill you. They kill your morale. They hurt you because they just result directly in points. They need to eliminate those, and that'll make a big difference. And I like the way they match up front with Tennessee. I think that BYU will run the football better this week, and that's the area I want to see them improve. Because if they can establish a run game, then the play action game and all that stuff comes, and it makes it much easier on Zach Wilson in play action when he's got receivers that are fairly open.
Here's to no pick sixes, Blaine. After further review, we look forward to it tonight, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, live on the BYU TV app. It'll air again tomorrow. Great stuff, man.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks, Blaine.